Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Souboutei Must Be Destroyed, starting off with Chapter 104. Before I begin, I do want to state Black Lives Matter, and actual social change can only happen once we defund the police and support social services. I'm saying this in every series regardless, but I mean, this arc's pretty apropos for it, considering that it is uh, our main runaway team versus the police arc. I do think specifically, uh, I mean, it's pretty muddled because Souboutei has done a lot of things where it's like, well, I don't support, bombing your country or, bombing private property, but at the same time, if it's spooky haunted house, I get it. In the same way, like, I'm fine with them taking military action against the runaways, because for all they know, the runaways are filled with horrible parasite invaders. But at the same time, like, the fact that the police are here at all is extremely strange. They got tanks. They have, I assume, the JSDF. Why are the police also here? Not to mention that a big part of the series has been like people on the outskirts, specifically like spiritualists and whatnot. But like our entire runaway team is comprised of people looking into things on the outskirts. We've got Josephine and Barrett who are like paranormal investigators to some degree. Even it seems like it's mostly just Pyro Mary setting things on fire, but sure. We've got the scientists. We've got like all the other exorcists have all been people from various walks of life who have all come to Souboutei in order to defeat the mansion. They all have these varying aspects that most people do not believe in, but they do. Like they are all completely valid, and they all are like extremely uncommon. In a world like this, one where the supernatural is 100% real, it feels extremely wild to know that like it's not that there is a masquerade, so to speak, to use the vampire term. Like there is no reason why this stuff isn't more commonplace. It is just suppressed. And I mean, we have seen people who have powers who are extremely discriminated against. So I just feel like some of the money going to like just military stuff that doesn't matter here could go towards like Dr. Augusta's research and whatnot. Now, what exactly is going to go down here? Because I mean, like, regardless, like, they're gonna do some supernatural stuff, but how do they specifically? The tanks are really the scariest part of this. I assume it is going to be a Kirita sisters versus everyone else fights, but none of them really have something that can stop a tank blast. Now, why are they saying this specifically? Because like the crowd makes a big point of showing that like they don't know what invaders are. Like this terminology, like what the sisters are saying only really is meant to harm the runaways, but it's only specifically supposed to harm them because they are speaking untruths. Or I guess they could have a side aspect of we're going to sow some discord into them. We're going to make them feel like, oh well, what if we actually are possessed, even though they know they're not at this point. Actually, surprisingly simple, straightforward attack. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like none of this has been. I mean, maybe at the very start it was going to be a little profit motivated, but at this point they've dug themselves way too deep. Like money does not matter, and I mean, I Barrett knows that, considering that he was the one who engineered the whole breakouts, or most of the breakouts. Like if he wasn't super rich, the breakout would not have happened. It's the Neo Reverser. I adore the look of like anytime the reverser activates, but this looks so much cooler than usual. I guess that might be because it's in the reverser, like maybe it has a more elaborate visual effect to it. But either way, god, that's gorgeous. I imagine it's also got to chew through the battery way faster though, right? Like the main reverser just shoots electricity out, but the Neo reverser has to both release a ton more energy, but also it has to have some like at least like you'd assume an equal amount, but maybe less than equal amount of energy going through you to stop you from dying from this. I my first thought, if I were to see someone with, I mean, to be fair, I don't know if I'd even recognize this as a wheelchair, but I wouldn't look at that and go, "Oh, that wheelchair, it's so fast. It's got to be from the US military." They're not wrong, but real weird jump. So they nodded at the police officer, but this didn't really seem to be anything related to him, right? Oh, okay. I didn't look down. I have the strong tunnel vision nowadays when I'm staring at a page. So yeah, that makes more sense. Huh. I mean, I guess, yeah, that's a good counter. It's so simple, though. I mean, I guess the question is, like, how does Pyromary's flame work? Because I suppose it is just, it makes fire appear, from the doll's mouth. Therefore, as long as you keep on quenching it, it's fine. Like, it's not magic fire or anything. It's not fire that wouldn't need oxygen or anything. Oh, and that would actually also, like, it doesn't take out the reverser, but now Dr. Augusto can't use the reverser safely. He's gonna kill everyone if he does that. Okay, Floor's in the car, though. Is she gonna just run them over? Floor, how much more? Okay, so they do have a plan. Like, they are waiting to do something. We didn't know what it was, right? Yeah, it was a, you know what to do. Yeah, so what could it be? I think it's gotta be just dropping more hydrogen, right? Like, if they saturate this entire area with hydrogen, perhaps it'll kill the invaders that are in the sisters' bodies. Hmm. Stand still for 12 seconds. Is it as simple as she wants to teleport them away? Or maybe she could teleport the invaders inside of them away. Boy, like, clearly they're not doing this on purpose, but the sisters are a terrible matchup against, an ability in which they have to stay still. I especially love this panel because, I mean, I'm sure they're saying something, but it looks like they're just flailing around for no reason whatsoever. Chapter 105, 12 Seconds of Stillness. Oh, that's a good title. Hmm. Okay, yeah, I'm going to report the invaders. Huh. Now, can it be incremental, though? Like, presumably the invaders aren't just flying all over their bodies. They should be in, like, one place. I mean, to be fair, I guess I don't know that at all. But could it not be 8 seconds to scan their bodies, and then once they, start, then they can move. Then if they stand still again, could Flora not just remember where they are and then, spend that 4 seconds teleporting them out? Honestly, yeah, like, Yadarigi has the best possible way to keep them still for 12 seconds. Just because, like, they aren't going to be scared of her. The fact, like, all the other attacks, I think, would have scared them enough to make them dodge or move around or, have the police go in front of them. But, like, the fact they won't be scared by her just having a gun and trying to talk them out of it might keep them, like, still for 12 seconds. Also, Yadarigi was military, right? I could be wrong, but I was fairly sure she was military. I'll have to reread her early chapters. I love the way the sisters are spinning it, though. Like, this is all true. What they are doing is unbelievably illogical. Like, they are taking the justice that these good human beings have, that they're going to bat for, and they're spinning it as, well, clearly you have to be taken over by alien invaders. There's no other reason why you would be doing this. I think when they said officer, I assumed they meant cop, and I was like, what? I mean, we knew that she was, like, she was suited for the job, but we definitely didn't know how many haunted mansions she had busted. Ah. So yeah, it's not like it is that Souboutei needs to be destroyed, but secondarily, like, someone is still in there. Yeah, this is honestly working out so well. Now, what is this doing? Like, is it just like keeping her from moving? Like, is it a brace going downwards? Also, I've seen a lot of series spin this as, like, the characters do have this super rousing conversation, and then at the very end they say, "Oh, by the way, we were just buying time." But I actually really like it with the opposite spin of, we know for a fact they're buying time, but at the same time, what they're saying is completely genuine. I really appreciate how how would I describe Takaha's special ability? I think it is legitimately weaponized normalness. Like, it is that he is just, like, even in this terrifying situation, he doesn't stop himself from, like, he doesn't go into flight or flight territory. he does stay true to his, like, the way he cares for other people. It isn't bravery per se. It is, being able to remain normal and to remain, kind-hearted and pure-hearted in this situation. Ah. Okay, so that was only 10 seconds, and then they started again. If it were anyone else except for the Kirita sisters, this would have worked. No one else would just start walking around in circles for no reason. But okay. And she does still need 12 seconds. Okay, I was wondering if we were going for the twist of, she spent 10 seconds and she was about to do it, but now she can still, just kind of pull them out. Ah. I do think this is also pretty naturalistic. Like, it's really hard to keep someone standing still when you want them to stand still, because, you'll give off those vibes of, clearly, you want me to stand still. But the fact that they are trying to appeal to, to Takaha, or, like, to the sister's memory of Takaha, I think that's it's so good. I wasn't missing this. Like, I wasn't really missing the, like, hey, what did Takaha say to all of them thing, but I'm really glad that we do get to see it. But think about it. If the invaders get out here, you'll become a ghost just like me and never get to study it. Oh no, they're gonna do a big ol' laugh. Every time. I mean, it's not even the laugh. Like, clearly, they can move their heads and it's fine. Like, they can talk, and that doesn't count as breaking the amount of time. It's the fact. The problem is that they kind of just move their whole bodies when they laugh. I feel so bad for her. Madarame, what are you doing? I can't believe that worked. I'm honestly so surprised that they managed to pull that off. I mean, it's cool that he actually got to do something. Madarame's been, like, not useless, but he's done so very little, especially anything that's, iconic. So I'm glad he had a moment. But it does feel really weird after this whole chapter of nail-biting everyone, trying to get them to stay still, that he kind of just shows up and shoots at them, and that's enough, like, right at the very end. Still, not complaining. Now, can they block it? God, this face. Come on. All right. Okay. It actually worked out. We didn't spend a whole chapter on that. Okay. And he wasn't part of the plan. Like, he didn't do that because he, needed to buy time for them. He did just go in with his gun, which is interesting. Now, the invaders, even if she opens her hands, they should just evaporate in the atmosphere, right? I mean, clearly the danger's supposed to be that they'll come out and, get inside these guys, but that shouldn't be the case, right? Okay, so they did die. That white smoke, it's... Oh, what? Oh, is it the water from the atmosphere? Like, is it that, they are being destroyed, but at the same time, there's enough ambient liquid in the air to make them sprouts? Jesus Christ. Now, if this means that the invaders can now just leave, that's a problem. Like, they should still be on fire at the very least. I mean, to be fair, like, I guess this energy over here could be fire. I assumed it was like, the impact of them hitting the ground, but yeah, I mean, everything else that people have seen could be played away as being, an illusion or camera trickery or something. Like, even up to the bombing of Souboutei. But this, like, I mean, even, drilling through Souboutei, sure. I mean, I guess you could play this off as being CGI, but it's gotta be a lot harder to really play off. I mean, you say it'll evaporate any moment now, but it doesn't look like it's happening. Oh no, Floor! And she just she just deported something, so she can't change herself, right? Oh my god. Also, Survivor Escape Arc final chapter. I probably should have included these with the last recording, but whatever. That is the danger of, just kind of recording whatever. Okay, so the sisters did wake up. I mean, maybe they woke up. Maybe that is just the Child of Iron acting on its own. Okay, whew. Thank goodness. I mean, it's also good that they're just on our side now. I get. Oh, they're probably not going in though. Like that would be a good reversal of, they're the ones who take the blame for, all of the actions taken against the runaways, but in exchange they're not allowed to go back in. And I really do like, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts that have been talking about, like what is the morality of being mind controlled, or of, having your inhibitions removed, like any of those levels of brain alteration. Like, on like, what is the point in which, you stop having some level of, culpability in your actions if you've been taken over or you've been manipulated or whatever. And the answer I've come to is, like, the area in which I think you lose culpability is actually pretty low. Like, I think, but at the same time, I do think regardless of your level of culpability or lack of, you should always apologize. Like, you should always, you know, demonstrate that you are sorry, even if it wasn't, even if it wasn't your fault, even though, it was your body. Like, at that point, it isn't that you are trying to get rid of your sins, it is that you are trying to help everyone else heal. Like, even if they know it wasn't you, at the same time, seeing you say no after, visually you did horrible things helps them get over, the conflict and the trauma that has been caused as a result of you, of you, quote unquote, attacking them. Come on. I mean, this is the professor. Like, he is both extremely smart, but also very rash. Ah, the powerful American businessman tactic of, yeah, just move forward. Okay. Hmm. What is this? I mean, because he unveiled it, I assume it's for the sisters. But what in the heck could it possibly be? I mean, I guess alternatively, this could just be like a flying wheelchair for Josephine. But I think that would defeat the purpose of her having, the wheelchair they've had up to this point. All right, Madarame, seriously. Despite not, I don't want Floor to be sidelined, but I do think it would be better if she stayed outside. Because A, she's about to die. Like, she's already exhausted herself a ton in recent memory. She just exhausted herself a lot today. But secondarily, being outside is not a negative for her. Like, as long as they maintain communication with her in some way, they could just ask her to, teleport in more hydrogen or whatever they need. Okay, thus began their advance to Souboutei. Huh. Who is the narrator here? Like, I assumed this was just an omniscient narrator, but we haven't really had a narrator before. Or if we have, it's been... I guess we have, but it's been, like, extremely sparing. And this is the first time I can think of where the narration has been, a character. Where the narration has exhibited some level of personality. Okay, so I guess this is the... Uh... Like, if that was the... not the invaders, the runaways arc, then I guess this is the... What would I call this? The Deido drawing arc, perhaps? Like, I think the thrust of this is going to be Deido finally finishing the painting he wanted to paint. And at that point, the last seal on the gates of Souboutei is now removed. Well, this might just be a short one, or I might append this to the next video, but that's all for now. Thank you so much. Bye for now. Yeah. Yeah, everyone. This is going right on to the end of the last video, so I'm not going to do a whole intro. Uh, yeah. It feels weird not doing an intro, though, but yeah, this is going right on to the end because I looked at it, I saw how short it was. I haven't really recorded anything in the meantime, but once this video comes out, it's going to be a little while before any more Souboutei. I'm going to, try and touch on everything else I'm doing right now. So I wanted this to be, a little more substantial than like 5 chapters, however much that was, that last video was. Anyways, so Kurenai is currently with Deido. I imagine this is going to be if this seems like it's a bit of a mini arc, I'll try to read all of it. If this is like the status quo for the next 100 chapters, I'm gonna have to find a place to cut it. I will say though, I'm actually really excited to learn more about Kurenai because, like, when she was introduced, the whole idea of her being a katana shaman was a really big deal, but we haven't really seen any of that. I mean, rather, how do I put this? Like, she is a katana shaman, and she is good at fighting for, a person. But at the same time, like, we haven't really seen too much for training. We don't know too much about it. We haven't, like, seen any of the jobs she did prior to Souboutei. I mean, that's also the thing. Like, we genuinely haven't seen that much when it comes to actual evil spirits. Like, we've seen spirits a little bit, but not something that her and I would usually fight. So I'm really curious to see her in action against, something she would actually be fighting, like not Souboutei, which is categorically different from her expertise. I mean, honestly, same for all of the Exorcists. Like, I don't know how they could possibly fit this in, but I would like to see a mini arc that is just all of the Exorcists, including Kurenai, just fighting like a ghost or something. I mean, considering how Souboutei works, it's completely possible there's like one room that just has an actual legit straight up ghost in it. Or like a ghost that's been possessed by the invaders. But yeah, like I'm not concerned for her life right now. Even though he is pretty terrifying at the same time. Like his main thing is he wants to draw her. So as long as he physically can, it should be fine. And Kurenai is smart enough to understand that, A, she probably can't fight him if he tries to summon all of the invaders or, if he does something crazy like that. And B, it might be better for her to just chill out and talk to him in order to get more information. To be fair, she's not really in the chill mood right now, but I think she'll see a reason. What are these shots supposed to... Oh, never mind. Yeah, it is Deido looking at her structure and trying to, like, figure her out artistically. I imagine he's just going to use the hands to keep her in place then, right? Oh, that's so much creepier. Like, she did strike him, but yeah, he's not even noticing it. Okay, there we are. Those are the hands. I think the other thing that makes this less creepy and scary than it otherwise would be, like in any other random situation, is Deido's character. Like, it is the fact that he wants her entirely because of her her visual artistic merits. He doesn't have a sexual bone in his body right now. He may have in the past, like, yeah, like he did clearly like that. Oh boy, who was that girl in the flashback? I guess that wasn't a loving relationship, was it? But even then, like, regardless, at this point, he seems to be burnt out on anything that isn't actual, just straight up arts. That is a neat concept. Like, that. It does explain. I mean, it explains his color. Like, it explains why he is so attracted to the invaders and to the colors they can create. That the form doesn't matter as much as color to him. And I can understand that to an extent. Like, I do like looking at abstract art that is mostly splotches of color. Like, how do I put this? I don't find it super interesting when it's a painting that is, just randomly put together, where it is just throwing paint at a canvas. Like, sometimes that can be interesting. Sometimes you can read interesting things into it. But I do appreciate art that does have some sort of thing it's trying to capture while still being super abstract. Like, even if I don't know what the thing is, just knowing that, this is an artist that is trying to convey, like, a specific shape. Even then, I guess that is more shape-focused than something that Deido would care for, but still. I also really, really, really appreciate that, like, he's explaining all of this from her yell of, "What are you trying to do?" Like, because what he is trying to do is not bring the invaders into the human world. What he is trying to do is, I mean, I don't quite know where he's going with it, but I assume it is going to be something to the extent of, I have the invaders. I have this ink that can be any color, so I'm trying to get the right color. But then I don't know how that would tie into Kurenai herself, because she is a visual thing, for lack of a better word. Like, she is a physical object that seemed like he was paying attention to. That is a good point, yeah. Like, Taka's sketchbook was entirely just sketches. There was no color. So yeah, why does he want to do this? I mean, to be fair, like, Kurenai does have a visual resemblance to Shino. Like, not in terms of, like, height or anything, but in her face, especially at the start of the page, actually. Or, like, right here. Right here, she reminds me of Shino quite a bit. So yeah, that would make sense. Color is a phenomenon caused by waves of radiation stimulating our brains, and there is none with a brain more... Right. Okay. I could perceive the color of your inner thoughts and reproduce it on the canvas with special paints. Boy, if Souboutei ever gets an anime, which I highly doubt is going to happen, not based on, the quality of the manga is fantastic, but in terms of, like, the difficulty of animating something like this in a way that doesn't look like hot garbo. Especially since I've heard that the Katakuri Circus adaptation was not particularly great. But like, if someone were to try and animate Souboutei, they'd have to put so much effort into the paintings and into like, I mean, the actual physical things happening would have to be, like you'd need Ufotable levels of budgets, but at the same time, like, regardless of all of that, just the set pieces would be so difficult. Not to mention, like, getting this style across in animation without it looking really bad. That's the thing. Like, that's also what I'm really scared about for the Chainsaw Man adaptation eventually. Where, like, Chainsaw Man has a very sketchy style, whereas I'd say Souboutei has more of a... Like, it is sketchy, but not to the same extent. And it does a lot more with very simple, like, line work. Or rather, simple line work that is then, like, exaggerated to great effects. So he does know her thoughts. Like, that is true. I guess, does that mean that he knows about, like, all of the, like, the negative thing that is in each painting? Because that would make sense. If the paint is literally the invaders, and he changes the color to suit, like, the color of that memory. And so what he is painting is not just, a painting that takes you to your worst memory, but rather, he is literally painting that bad memory in a 2D shape that then, you get pulled into. I mean, it's also interesting that Takaha had a painting, and we saw it, and yet Deido didn't do this to him. Like, part of it might have just been his appreciation for him as an artist, and the fact that they, got off on the, not the right foot, but, like, they quickly got onto the right foots. Whereas here, like, clearly he wants to do something to her. I mean, I guess he just wants to make her back down. I was thinking for a moment, like, maybe he's trying to make her split apart so the invaders can go in, but that only works in the paintings. The number of colors perceptible by the human eye is 3 million. That same number represents the wealth of colors I can feel within the human soul. I mean, that is a lot of colors, but at the same time, it's not that many. I was watching I was about to say Dr. Disrespect, that is not correct. Captain Disillusion video, like the one on color, where he talks about, like the color spectrum that the human eye can see, and how it's such a tiny part of visible light. Or, light in general, let alone visible light. But then on top of that, the various color spectrums that we use for, like Adobe, for instance, those are all, like, slight subsets of the actual visual spectrum that we can see, because they need to be, like, perfectly replicated on monitors and whatnot. So, like, all of that was to say that 3 million feels like a lot, and also not that much at all. Especially if we talk about, the human soul. Like, is it possible to categorize all human feelings down into 3 million feelings? On one hand, that the logical part of my mind is saying, yeah, that actually does make sense. Like, 3 million's a lot. You could probably boil down human beings to 3 million things. But at the same time, like, my humanity is saying, no, that's insane to say. I mean, it looks like she's actually breaking because of this. Which, to be fair, like, she didn't fully resolve that conflict. She was saved by Takaha. Which also means, I guess, that, yeah, like, anyone who was saved in their painting may still be, capable of being pulled into a painting and destroyed once more. Or if not even that, like, whatever Deido wants to do to her is clearly effective. Okay, yeah, so why are we going back to the exterior then? Like, if the thing that is most important to him is color, and you can see the color of Kurenai, and he thinks that, it's all ugly colors, then why would he care about her exterior at all then? Surely that's because I've forgotten the importance of the rough sketch. Oh boy, is he gonna choke her? Yeah. During which I shall tell the story of myself and the most beautiful person in the world. It was neither a ploy to discover information about Souboutei's weaknesses, nor due to any curiosity concerning the man himself. However, when she heard the man's words, she instinctively knew they were the truth. Okay, so here we go. At present, you are returning to your original form. Remove all needless things. Okay. Yeah, like, this feels fine. And it does fit the, the fact that she is supposed to be an artistic model at this point. Like, she isn't there for sexual reasons. She is there as a physical body to be sketched. Wait, how did they know this all the way back then? I mean, to be fair, I'm not super familiar with old school Japanese, medical history. But I'm surprised the doctors were able to diagnose something like that in the, when was it, like the 1800s? Faint light with the colors of green and bitter orange mixed haphazardly together. God, so many different character designs. And they are recurring, so it is like, It's not a like clear like line of people going downwards. It is like a bunch of people in the town, but some of them recurring, passing rumors to and from one another. And like I can understand this. I can see why people would look at him and say that's really creepy or that's really weird. I mean, yeah, I've been there as a person judging someone else, so sure. Oh, it's synesthesia. So did they lock her up as well? Okay, yeah, so it is synesthesia. Like, we're making the absolute comparison. That's really cool. I've been reading a lot about how, like, this is maybe a slight tangent, but maybe related. Specifically, how autistic women tend to pass much more than autistic men, and a big part of that is because of the like inherent socialization that women in the Western world, and I mean worldwide, the socialization that women go through, as opposed to the socialization men go through. Like, there's much more in most cultures that in which women are told to keep their head down and to like follow extremely specific social norms. So as a result, if you are autistic, it is a lot easier to just conform to those extremely strict social norms, and therefore like a lot of things that like a lot of things that would be dead giveaway signs that you don't understand the world the way everyone else does are they're simply suppressed because you have no way of communicating that to other people, and the way you like act in certain situations is so rote, is so programmed that it's actually like it's very easy to make that indistinguishable from someone else who is much less bothered in those situations. Like it comes up a lot with like the differences in like casual socialization between autistic men and autistic women, where guys tend to be like they don't really have the tools to just act in large crowds or with one-on-one conversations, whereas autistic women tend to have more fallbacks and they're not expected to speak first or anything. I'm honestly pretty surprised that he remembers Zanka's name. I mean, to be fair, like clearly he wasn't thinking of him, but at the same time, like they were good enough friends, and like they were good enough friends in Deido's mind that he was still able to recall him. This is such a good panel of Deido. Like I love the like what is that? Is that paint? Is that blood? Is it just liquid there for effects? But like the way it's like flying across his eyes looks so cool. Oh, this is such a good page. Interesting that his final line here is "My art will sell." Like the part of to produce a work that will eventually shake the brain matter of every critic. Like I do get that. It's like that's something I still think about quite a bit. The idea of like works of art that shake your brain matter. Why does he specifically want it to sell? I mean, maybe it is just because people told him, this art won't sell, and so he wants to do it just for the sake of proving that he can do it. Obviously, there is like his art will sell is not a literal he wants to make money. It is definitely a he wants this art to shake everyone's brain matter, and he wants it to be accepted as incredible art. Whether or not he physically gets money from it is something he could not care less about. Okay, so we never touched on this. Like, I think we saw her go to the city, but that was smashed to pieces by worthless artists. That I think we haven't really explored yet. As for me, I went up to my sister who'd returned home and strangled her like this. Oh, is he gonna just bleed the invaders into her mouth? Oh! Witness the story of that night. First of all, really, really good Deido face here. That's so creepy. Specifically this eye. Like seeing the white there, but the red is spilling over it and like pouring down. Oh. Okay, here we go. I mean, I guess this is going to be a long flashback then. There's no way this is going to be like, a one chapter thing. And okay, so she is seeing them all through Deido's perspective, which means we will get... I mean, never mind. So that is Little Kid Deido. I thought this was going to be a situation where, like, we would see Kurenai the entire time just, acting as Deido. Like, I really love that in flashbacks. I think it's such a cool visual, like, technique. This is so cool. So, okay, yeah, like, their synesthesia is, like, it is different, but at the same time, they can relate just through, just through, like, knowing that when they hear a song, they see a color. They're such warm memories. Now, the one problem I have, and it's a pretty obvious problem, I do not like this print. Like, it is definitely pasted over. Whereas Dato's, like, robe here, and even down here and here, like, even this one, is it? I guess this one is pasted. But yeah. Like, Dato's does not look pasted here. Like, that looks like, individual parts were pasted in order to, like, give the feeling if it's, all having the same thing. And same with this one, like, no, even then, that doesn't look pasted at all. That looks hand-drawn. I have such a... I feel so weird whenever I see, someone wearing something in manga, and it is straight up just, like, a, like, image pasted under that layer, so you can... Yeah, it's so bad. I also really appreciate this because, like, if Data were to say it out loud, it's like, I am certain we would hit a point where Kerr and I would say, I don't understand it, how could you possibly feel that way? Or, don't you realize your sister always loved you? That sort of thing. Whereas, like, because he is here, or because she is, like, in his body, and she's experiencing what he experienced, she can tell for sure, like, this is why he feels this way. Even if I would not feel this way, like, I can understand the emotions now. They called me a coward because I only draw girls, even though I'm a boy. Oh, that's so... kids are so stupid. God, she's so fun. Yeah, I can 100% see why he was, why he loved her so much. And it's really cute that even though she sees it as purple, like, she calls it the yellow song because she knows that he sees it as yellow. I mean, she does have a very strong personality, so I guess she must have just convinced their parents to send her. Also, we are blasting through this, actually. Like, if this is a one-chapter flashback, I will genuinely be pretty upset. Like, we need more time to, really explore this, but we are blasting through it. Like, this chapter, at the very least, is going to end with her coming back, right? Okay, that damned famous artist trying to keep my daughter as a concubine for his painting. And of course, the rumors are spreading, but this time it's not about him. Like, clearly he was hurt by the rumors spreading about him, but at the same time, like, this must hurt so much more because it's about her. Oh, I'm really curious to see then, like, is this a genuine situation where he did just want her to be a model? I don't know. I mean, clearly she's in love, right? Tsukihashi Yomiza. Okay, and he also draws exclusively women. Yeah, like, this seems like the kind of person that the Deido would be into. I mean, especially, like, right now. Like, as a kid. But will he feel that extreme, bitter, like, I will never, ever be an artist who makes such shitty arts. Because, yeah, like, none of this seems bad to me, per se. I guess it has to be, like, the use of color, which can't really be conveyed in black and white manga. But I assume it's gotta be, the color is just very bad. Now I'm really curious to see, like, why is it that he chokes her? Is it because is it because of the relationship? Or is it specifically because he can't handle the thought of her being in a relationship with a bad artist? And so that's it. That, she was in love with him. She wanted to stay. And because they brought her back, she looks so dead inside. And so he just completely misinterprets it. Oh, God, that cut is so good. Like, the emotion in the shot is so fantastic. I really hope there's a clean version of this somewhere out there. I mean, in that case, and I do apologize if this was explained in the previous flashback, because I don't 100%, like, I remember the bones of it, but I don't remember, like, some of the individual details. Oh, boy. Guys, you should really put this to the end of the chapter. I mean, to be fair, this is not the way that these were meant to be read, so I get it. Also, I really should be calling him Yoshitaro when we do flashbacks. Like, they are essentially two separate characters in terms of the way they act. Plus, he did change his name, so I should respect that as a, clear turning point. I mean, is this even what he looks like? I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't be able to recognize Yoshitaro based on this shot, so I doubt I'd be able to recognize Tsukashi Yomiza based on this. Oh, is she wasting away because of heartbreak? I mean, yeah, that does really suck. Like, from her perspective, it has to be that she really likes this guy. I mean, he is married, which is the big problem, but I mean, I guess it really depends on like whether she did intends to be in a relationship with him, or whether it was a like extremely strong friendship, or even if it was a love in which she loved him but not in the sense of she wanted to marry him, or that he was cheating on his wife with her. Jeez. Also interesting. So that yellow color always floated around sister. So like we are then immediately saying that he likes yellow. Like that song was yellow. At the same time, she herself was like she had the yellow around her, which also makes sense as a very loose version of his current ability. Like he does see even human emotion as different colors. And yeah, I've been here where like you do want to say something nice. Like what you are looking at is not bad at all, but at the same time, like you don't have the emotions inside you to, like to really get into it. And as she says this, she starts to be surrounded with, I assume, yellow lights. I mean, yeah, that's the problem of destroying someone's connection to something they love without reasoning them away from the thing they love. Like if you destroy it, they're just going to pine for it. That isn't a solution. Okay. So yeah, it was a ring from him. Like, I guess it has to be an engagement ring, right? Because her dad also said, like he likes Western traditions. So I guess he must have genuinely been a womanizer then. Wow, okay, she's lost a ton of weight. Also, because they're such a well-off family, I'm very surprised they don't have, like, at least a cart to pull her around in. Though, I guess to be fair, that might be less of a they physically can't get one situation and more of a, like, Yoshitaro would rather piggyback her around. I really, really have to commend Fujita Sensei for, like, his ability to express emotions through art. Like, I can't get enough of the way she looks here. The fact that she is so, like, dead and desiccated and worn away, but she has this, like, romantic wistfulness to her that I can't get enough of. Like that, like Yomiza is the only thing keeping her alive at this point. Plus, this shot is really, like, it's such a powerful, like, it is jealousy incarnate. Without the text, this would be such a good meme image. Ah, so I mean, obviously it's Yoshiza. Oh, is it that Yoshiza, Yoshiza shows up in order to save her, and she wants to go along with him. So Yoshitaro kills her in order to stop her from leaving. There's also something that really gets me about like kids being deadly serious about something that does, that looks very kiddie. Like it can be very cool if it's a positive thing, but if it's negative, if it is a like, I'm drawing this super cartoony thing because if I draw it well enough, my parents won't divorce each other or my sister won't want to die. Like there's something so painful about that contrast. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, she is just, these are very base compliments, but she's not describing them in color because they're, or like, in sensation, because they don't really make her feel anything. She's only able to look at them and give a, like, logical explanation of what they're like. God, there's so much detail to his face, too. Like, he looks like he's based on a real person. He has that feel to me of a manga character who is like clearly supposed to be an allusion to an actual person, so the mangaka tries to add in more like realistic detail. Like whereas a lot of Souboutei faces are like vaguely cartoony, and then as they get more distressed, they get way more cartoony. Like he seems so grounded, which I guess that is a good way to show how like not fitting he is in the situation. Okay, now what does he do? I mean, to be fair, yeah, we don't know anything about what happens, like, what happened to him. Like, it's possible that, how do I put this? Like, clearly the thing that's been weighing on him, or not even weighing on him, the most emotional part of this whole flashback is that he kills Shinobu. But there's also very much the possibility that he killed this guy and it didn't give him any feelings. Or, there's a little bit of happiness, but it wasn't enough to talk about, and that's why he glazed over it last time. Okay, I mean, he's going right in. See, the fact that he's being so straightforward makes me feel like there's no way this is gonna work. I mean, it's also the classic, like, why would you show the situation and then cut it if the conclusion isn't going to be if the conclusion is not going to subvert what is clearly about to happen. Otherwise, why not just include it? I mean, it bears repeating that, like, even if I am personally very scared of Sakamaki Deido, at the same time, this is Yoshitaro. This is just a kid. There's no reason why this kid should be able to kill this man. Like, clearly he's surprised, but even then, like, he has enough time to act. So he stabs him in the leg, and instead of, like, pushing him away or anything, he hugs Deido. Oh, man. I mean, here's the thing. Clearly, he, like, Deido in the present hates this man so much, so there's no way that Yoshitaro was swayed by him. But this is, unbelievably important in order to tell us, the readers, what this guy is truly like, in case anyone was swayed by Deido's view of him. Okay, in that case, he might genuinely die here. Like, Deido is the kind of person who, for a normal person, they would look at the situation and a combination of, society. The reason, like, in society, you don't just kill someone who says, please kill me. Like, there's a clear aversion to that. But Deido hating this man and also being, like, what is the term? He's not neurotypical. So he might take it as an actual, okay, you said that there's no point in living anymore, so I'm just gonna kill you. Okay, he actually backed down. That's really surprising. That also makes me feel like, for sure, either we're going to see him again, or, like, some impact he has made is going to be super important in the future. And I think it is dawning on him right now that, like, there is no way to save his relationship with his sister. Like, if it were for any, like, if Yomiza was a bad artist, and his sister would then say, yes, I know he's a bad artist, at the very least, like, Deido could try to, in his mind, pull her away from him with his art. But because they are bound by this love of art, like, there's no way to tear her away using art. I'll try to keep this in mind in case this comes up again, but I think it is just a, here's an example of a person. Oh boy. I have requests. Could you please draw me? Oh man. I mean, it's such a dark parallel to when they started, and, he was drawing her, just because he wanted to. But, like, she's so emaciated now. And she's so, like, there's no emotion to her. I guess part of this might explain why it is that he hates sketches and why he thinks they are garbage. But part of it might also be, like this shot in particular. I imagine, even if this were a color medium, this shot would still be black and white, because she has no color left in her. There is no emotion here. If you were to try and paint her using an emotion, like, what would you do? Also, these two panels definitely represent me. There's a big mood here. And I guess then, like, in a weird way, he became more like her. Like, now she is the terrifying, person who is all otherworldly and who can look at you and instantly understand everything about you by looking at your colors. I mean, to be fair, you don't need the power to see people's, like, emotions as colors to look at this boy and understand what he's thinking. Okay. So it wasn't... Huh. Okay, so it wasn't him killing her out of rage or anything. It was explicitly her saying, please kill me. Which does have a very strong parallel then to Yomiza himself saying, please kill me. If I can't meet her, there's no point in me living. Which in that case, actually, one last thought. I guess that does mean that after he kills her, we know he kills her. We've seen that multiple times. Like, after that, I was wondering in the back of my head, like, is he going to go off and kill Yomiza then? Like, since he didn't do it the first time, but I can't imagine that he would want the two of them to be in the same place. So I don't think he would, like, track him down later and then say, because of you, my sister's dead. Especially if he does see it as, because of me, because I killed my sister is dead. Whew, I mean, it's a big ask. Oh, it's so ritualistic. Like, we know the pose that he'll end up in by, when he starts choking her. Oh, boy. Plus, I haven't talked about it for the last, like, 2 chapters or so, but Kurenai is in there. Like, she is seeing all of this from his point of view, and, she is likely feeling what he's feeling. So how does she react to this? Like, will she come away from this understanding him, or will she still say like that is too alien to to comprehend? Because I would not say this is too alien. Like, yeah, I get it now. It's real messed up. It's real not abnormal, but at the same time, like, I get where he was in this situation. I really hope we don't learn anything more about Yomiza. Like, part of me is definitely very curious to see, like, what was their relationship? But at the same time, I don't really want to know any more than this. Because, like, it definitely doesn't seem perfect. And, it definitely didn't end well. But, like, not knowing makes this so much more immersive, if that makes any sense. The only living person, like, maybe Zanka would know a little bit, maybe, but probably not. I mean, we've seen Zanka's flashback. He never, like, bumped into a random artist like this, as far as I remember. But the only people who would know would be Deido and Zanka at this point. I guess maybe Kairi Kuro, but that'd be a real weird pull. To be fair, no. I mean, it's also possible that maybe, like, this is all public record. And, of course, Deido doesn't know because he's been in Souboutei this whole time. And, no one else knew because why would they look into this, specific artist? There could be something there. Okay. I mean, is this happening? I mean, this could be the invaders trying to get into him, or more likely to me, it could be him, like, metaphorically breaking down. And then this process is then repeated through the paintings to other people. Yeah, because, yeah, we know when he found the invaders. Like, we saw him find the puddle, so there's no way. Right? Right? I mean, I guess it's also possible, perhaps, that this is actually a memory of when he first encountered the invaders and they possessed him. But no, because we saw the moment when they tried to possess him, and then he, exerted his will over them. Alternatively, maybe this is like, this is Kurenai in this body, and so because she is feeling that absolute despair, it is now, like, she is now open to being invaded. I mean, I guess there's actually the third option of, like, none of these are, the invader arrows. They are, like, some of these look very arrow-esque, but this could also literally be emotion or some sort of vile color. Like, it is him realizing that, yeah, absolutely, she is completely unattainable, and if he does the thing that she wants him to do, if he does the only thing that can make her happy, it will kill her and put her completely out of his reach. And due to that, he breaks apart, the negative emotion floods in, and that gives him the power to kill him, or to kill her. Yeah, I'm definitely going with that reading. I think I was trying to take it way too literally before. Also, for a scene we've seen so many times, I can understand the extreme appeal and, like, I can understand how it would feel really good as a mangaka to draw it once more. So you have that constant repetition and it always looks the same, and now we finally have all the context. But I think this is so much more impactful. Like, because all those other times, we didn't understand what was going on in his head. We just saw it as he's killing his sister. But now we understand both, the absolute despair she was in, and the fact that these are not hands reaching out in order to, to stop him, but it is, I assume, she's going to try and touch him to make him feel better. Either that or that might just be, like, a reflex of her dying. And then, when we saw him again, like, he's not screaming or anything. So it must be that, his face looks completely calm, but these are his emotions. This is what he looks like on the inside. Ah, oh, Yoshi, I want you to get more and more and more talented at arts. Boy, we've had some insanely good Yoshitaro faces this arc. I mean, we've seen multiple that I would consider to be, like, unbelievably good scenes of emotion. But this one, I don't know if this is as good as the very inky one that we saw before, but I really like it. Like, it's got the big smile of despair energy that, like, I'm not happy, but I can't make myself make any other face apart from this. Jeez. It's so nightmarish. I guess that's the best way to put it. It looks nightmarish. Okay, this is where we sync up with the previous flashback. So he's checking to make sure she's dead, then Zanko walks in. And then, what am I doing? I'm taking my sister back. All right. I mean, so that was the flashback. I gotta keep going, just a little bit. Not, not gonna go crazy, but I need a little bit more than that. Come on. Context is super interesting. Like after that, like the like this is so not even creepy at this point because we've seen the white water do this before. We've seen the invaders do this in more gross ways even. Whereas this feels more practical rather than anything else. Like it's still creepy. It's still not a good time, but like I could see another series where this is the scariest thing that is ever drawn, and it's so wild that for Souboutei this is such a like a normal thing. It is just a like, well, I need to show you my memories. And I do think it's really interesting that like this wasn't a situation where they were standing together and watching his memories together. Like he wasn't giving her any like specific input or anything. These were just straight up the memories, and Kurenai was able to interpret them however she wished. Like she was just there seeing what he saw at that time. I feel like, based on the kind of person she is, I feel like she's going to be compassionate, especially after like the events of the series up to this point. Yeah, like he's clearly baiting her for a disturbed reaction. Like he doesn't think that she's going to react in a positive way. And I don't think she's going to forgive him. Like, don't get me wrong. But I imagine this is going to be more. I feel like she's mostly just going to explain to him that, yeah, your sister was really sad because your parents took her away from the man she loved. Boy, I am really just constantly misgendering his sister for some reason. I don't know why. And yeah, it does really help that most of that was a series of situations that he could not help. Like, because of the way he was brought up, he can only see things in a certain way. And then, given that ability to see things, like, it wouldn't make any sense at all for him to, to be more compassionate. To, like, let the two lovers be together, before she dies. Like, that wouldn't occur to him at all. Oh boy. Oh no, the choking hand came back out. Boy, that's really rough. Also, I can follow my sister's dying wish that I become more and more and more talented at arts. Like, it's so painful to know that he so fundamentally misunderstood his sister. And sure, like, she didn't really help, but at the same time, she was in the absolute pits of despair. Like, uh, in a previous, era of my life, I may have been more inclined to say, bad things about his sister because, of course, oh no, like, this all happened because she didn't fully express herself to him. But at the same time, he was a little kid. She was going through extremely complex emotions. I definitely understand the feeling of, having such, want to die levels of destructive emotion that you cannot reach out to someone else, even though, like, for a fact the people you can reach out to would 100% try to help you through it. So yeah, I get it. And especially because, because her brother is a little bit off, I can imagine that she wouldn't consider the idea of, saying everything very truthfully and clearly to him in order to try and sway his mind. I might be overstepping my bounds a little bit with this one, but I think part of it is his synesthesia. Like the fact that if what he sees is shitty art, like unlike other people where you could convince them eventually, I feel like because he was a kid, because he had that very clear, like, this is good, this is bad. I don't know if there would be a way to make him appreciate uh, Yomisa's arts. Like part of it was definitely the negative emotional connection he had to Yomisa, but at the same time, I think a big part of it was genuinely his taste and the fact that you can't fix taste like that. Yeah, it's so hard to read him. But yeah, especially if Yomisa was that big, like just letting someone like Taka know about that might be enough for Taka to come up with some sort of way to play off of this, or some way to stop Deido. A huge Japanese style room and a bunch of food trays lined up. We've been in here before, right? Yeah. This is definitely I don't remember why Rokuro was in here, but Rokuro definitely walked through this room, right? Wedding robes. Is this supposed to be his sister? Like, it can't be, right? Because that was Shino. I mean, not in the sense that he thought Shino was a sister, but like, Shino was the replacement to him. He made the water turn into Shino in order to have, something that was like his sister around. My sister wanted to wear wedding robes. I'd want to dress her in them. Okay. Oh. Okay, so boy, that's really messed up. So He made like many different wedding rooms, all super elaborate, and then he just killed women in them over and over again. Okay, in short, for the monks to sever the worldly desire for women's flesh, a series of paintings was composed detailing the process of a woman's corpse rotting. Okay. I was completely unaware of this. Once I said I'm an artist, they all came willingly. I feel like this also definitely plays into like his perceived relationship between his sister and Yomiza. Like like Yomiza was this weird artist that he didn't see for the longest time out in Tokyo, wherever that was, and he compelled, Yomiza compelled his sister to, be his model and to, essentially die for him. Like, not as straightforwardly as this, but I could see Deido then like reenacting his sister's death in part by being Yomiza as well as being himself. I also do appreciate that for this small part of Soboutei's super alien architecture, like part of Soboutei's architecture is definitely, the aliens, it is the invaders doing weird stuff, maybe. But like it is also a literal physical house that Deido built and that, was really weird way before the invaders at all. And I really appreciate this small glimpse into why, like, this part of it would feel so alien and weird. Like, there is a logic to it, and it's a logic that's so strange that, can only really be explained by Deido himself. I don't think anyone else would look at this and think of it. Also, I am, like, clearly aware that this is, like, he is speaking of himself when he's talking about the monks. Like, this is, whether he says it or not, it is definitely a process in which he was trying to sever his connection to his sister. Okay, it does seem like we're cutting away from the Deido Kurenai focus, so I will skip backwards real quick, and I think we'll just leave it there. Yeah, I think, like, combined with the previous video, this is enough that I'm happy putting it on the channel. I do fundamentally make these videos as something that I would be happy with. So, like, even though I know there's some people who would definitely watch the previous, like, just those couple of chapters and say, that's fine, I would not be fine with that. Now I'm finally satisfied. In conclusion, fantastic flashback. And I really, like, I'm such a fan of flashbacks that are heavily colored through, like, an unreliable narrator, but in this case, it wasn't even a, like, overly unreliable narrator. Like, it wasn't, like, I'm okay with a series where, like, reality itself in a flashback shifts because, there's an angry person saying, oh, yeah, if not for this person, then that person has a face that looks like a gremlin or something. Like, I think that's okay in some contexts, but I really appreciate this flashback for being very straightforward and for, like, clearly allowing us as the readers to understand Deido's feelings, while at the same time, like, still making it visually clear, like, what is happening outside of his perspective. It, like, all the drawings are, like, there's clear delineation between most of the drawings in the flashback, which are objective facts, and then, like, the ones that are Deido being warped or Deido thinking, where clearly it is from his perspective. Even though the whole thing is from his perspective, like, there's something very refreshing about being able to look at most of the flashback and go, okay, yeah, like, this is objective truth. This is 100% what, physically happened. It may not be the entire context. It certainly isn't, but, I can still trust the flashback instead of having to second guess the mangaka and having to second guess the characters in it as well, while at the same time having that Deido flavor throughout. It's also, like, it was really cool, like, exploring Deido's synesthesia and seeing, both a model of dealing with it well, him and his sister, and the two of them were, like, relating over it, and her being so kind to him, and, like, even using his colors as opposed to hers. Like, it was so wholesome in a way I did not expect, while at the same time exploring, more of what makes him a strange person. I think that is something missing from a lot of series with, crazy villains. Deido is definitely who I would consider a crazy villain. But at the same time, this is exploring his craziness in a way that doesn't make him less scary. He is still really volatile and terrifying, and there's so much to him that I find very deeply disturbing. While at the same time, I get him more as a human being. And, like, I understand his alienness while it still remains alien. It is still fundamentally something that's I can't relate to because I have no level of synesthesia. I can understand it on a logical level. I can imagine it, but I can't experience what he's experiencing. And so that makes me double think everything that he does, because now I have to wonder, like, what colors Like, what colors does this express to him? And what does he consider nice? Like, we've seen, yeah, we've, been described, we've been told the weird, disgusting color that, that the invaders can get to, and how Deido does find that to be enchanting and powerful. I, God, Souboutei is so good! Alright, so whenever I get back around to Souboutei, we're gonna blast through a lot more. We're at 114. The scans, of course, as I said last video, they're up to like 200 and something, so still got a ways to go. And gonna be taking a brief hiatus while I hop around all the other series I do, but can't wait to get back to this one. Thank you all so much for continuing to watch the channel. If you have anything you want to say to me, put it down below in the comments. I read them all. Otherwise, you can go to Discord. I don't have a Fujita channel, so if you want to talk about Souboutei, just do it in Miss Reactions. If I end up reading Katakuri Circus or something else, I'll make an actual Fujita channel. Otherwise, I'll probably just, keep it open. It depends on how much people want to talk about the series. Like, a lot of people want to talk about Fujimoto series, so I made a Fujimoto channel. If there's enough Fujita discussion, I'll make a Fujita channel. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Bye for now. Nya nya.